pop stars. Welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. This week's episode is sponsored by PTA Travel Services. Call us before you book your next vacay. We can get you there cheaper than other services, whether it's by plane, train, or automobile. And if none of those are available, we do bikes too. Check us out at PTA. No matter the mode, we get you where you're going at ptatravel.com. Tammy, have you taken a vacation lately?
I did. Remember, I went home. What was it?
To Jersey?
2 months ago? Yeah, I went to Jersey a couple months ago.
How'd you go? Plane, train, automobile, bike?
Oh, train. Although I seriously wanted to go by automobile. Like, I love driving. I wanted to do cross country, but yeah, I just ended up taking the plane.
I do. I want to take a road trip. Like I've mapped out my trip cross country so many times, like just a cross country road trip. And I like driving too. One thing I would love to do Europe by train. I know our train. I think it would be fun to take a cross country train trip. They say we have one here, but I don't know what it's like. But I would love to do
On
Europe by
Amtrak,
train.
right? I think it's Amtrak has.
I think so.
Yeah, from New York to I think it's Los Angeles.
Yeah, and speaking of trains, the bullet train looked really good. So this week we take off with Brad Pitt's latest Bullet Train, also starring Sandra Bullock, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Brian Tyree Henry, as well as Joey King. Brad Pitt stars as Ladybug, coolest assassin name ever, who tries to find a new way to do his job after one too many of his past gigs has kind of gone off the rails. Boarding the bullet train is supposed to be an easy job just to get his feet wet again and ease him back into the new ways of doing things. Um, but you know what they say about the best laid plans. So, Tammy, what did you think of Bullet Train? Was it bulletproof or did it go completely off the rails?
Both. It literally went off the rails. I will say that it was surprisingly funny. Now, I did want to see the movie, just because of everybody who was in the movie. So it was on my list of movies to actually go see because I haven't been to the theater in a while. But it was surprisingly funnier than I thought it was going to be. Like I thought it was going to be like dry humor, satire, and I found myself like laughing in theater. But here's my thing. I think you've been to the theater when I've done this before, Eddie, but I'm not too sure. So, like, when I go see movies with, like, assassins and mercenaries and everything like that, like, I crack up at how these people get shot and killed, right? Like, the death scenes I find to be just really, really funny. So, on this movie, like, I'm in the theater and I'm cracking up and I'm looking around me and everybody else is just chilling. And I was just like, am I the only one that finds these scenes funny? I guess so. I'm weird. There could be some evilness in me, but yeah, it was surprisingly funny on like just how the storyline played out.
Yeah, they did. This is one of the ones I wanted to see it too, like you, because of all the people who are in it, Brad Pitt aside, I love Brian Tyree Henry. He has become one of my favorite actors, and he's so good.
Is that
And
the black man?
yeah, that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't remember his name.
he's a great actor, and I think the show Atlanta, is what actually really put him on the map, and that's when I really started paying attention and anything because he is great in Atlanta, and so I just pay attention to whatever he's in. He's just that good, and so I was like, dude, when I saw that he had a British accent in his movie, I was like, he's not British. And I actually had to go look it up because you often see like Aaron Taylor Johnson is British and you see the Brits doing the American accent, but it's rare that you see Americans doing a
Wait,
British
he's
accent.
not British?
He's not British, no, he's American. And that's what I had to look up. I'm like, wait a minute, has he been? Because I know they filmed Atlanta, like the last season of Atlanta in London. And so I was like, wait a minute, have I been falling for the okie doke this entire time? And the reason why is they say because Americans do horrible British accents.
They do.
But he had that shit spot on. Joey King's wasn't bad either, but she's American, So that was why I wanted to really watch it. And so I was expecting kind of like, I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. And on a side note, it also reminds you of how, all the personal drama aside, it reminds you how good of an actor Brad Pitt really is. He does
Yes.
comedy really well. And I think we tend to forget that, especially since he usually does some of the more dramatic roles. But I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. So I really, I enjoyed it, and it had great cameos. Like you knew Bad Bunny was going to be in it, and the way he
Hold on.
died.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. Was Bad Bunny the wolf?
Yes, Bad Bunny was
Okay.
the wolf.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I granted now I wasn't necessarily laughing, but it was funny because the way most of these characters died was a result of Brad Pitt's character thinking he had bad luck. And like
Yes.
the ladybug name was an oxymoron. His handlers trying to convince him that he was lucky, that he really didn't have bad luck. And so the way Brad Bunny died was just like completely accidental. And the funny part was the way he set him up to try to make it look like he was alive, and he kept trying to talk to him, and he was like, "But dude, really?" So those were the funny parts to me. Was just like how he was trying not to kill anybody, but the more he tried not to kill anybody,
He killed everyone.
he killed everyone. So I really love that. And who were like some of your favorite characters? Because this was
Um,
a great character, I think.
I love tangerine and lemon, the fruits.
Yes, the twins. I called them the citrus twins. And he goes, but they're not twins. And he's like, have you seen them?
They were twins, okay? They were
And she goes, the twins. And he goes, they're not twins.
twins. They look nothing alike.
He's like, trust me, they're not twins.
I thought they were absolutely hilarious because you also saw, like, even though they don't look alike, they were brothers. It kind of reminded me a little bit of oh my god, the movie we Ambulance.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal and Abdul Mateen the third.
Yeah, like
yeah, yeah.
it's the same thing on, like, yeah, we may not share blood, but that's my brother. And so you got that feeling, but they were just hilarious on how they were constantly bickering. But like, and then at the end, they were just, no, like, but you're gonna go do the job that we came here to do, right? He's like, all right, be careful. All right, be careful. And then they would just go about it. And then the fact that Lemon kept bringing Thomas,
the tank,
Thomas the train, and he referred to everybody by a character from the show, and I was just like, oh my god, that brings back childhood memories. But what?
Yeah, like and I was.
He made sense too. He made sense.
He did. They were my favorite characters too. I love the Citrus Twins. They were amazing. And
Citrus Twins.
Because I love the like we said, we love the actors so much. I watched a lot of the pre-interviews. I didn't watch a lot of the spoilers, but I watched a lot of the interviews. And Aaron Taylor Johnson and go to YouTube. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry did a lot of their interviews together, and they are so funny. There's this really particular one where they're doing American and British slang. Oh my gosh, they had me cracking up. And then Brad Pitt even joined them for some of them, and it was hilarious. And so I was like, wow. And sometimes you think, okay, is this a PR stunt? Are they trying to convince you that the co-stars actually liked each other? And then I'm like, well, we're in a day and age where if they didn't like each other, they wouldn't agree to do these interviews together. They'd just be like, nah. But it was really funny. Like the chemistry, I would just say the chemistry was real, and it like, so check out those interviews. But yeah, Lemon and Tangerine, they were hilarious. And when Lemon was like, I learned everything I know about reading people from Thomas the Train. And he gave everybody the train engine. And you would think Lemon, because of the way he always referred back to Thomas the Train and the way he was just like nonchalant, like when the white, what was his name? White Death is what they called him.
Yeah, White Death.
yeah, when White Death's son died, he was like, well, okay, whatever. He's like, why can't we just tell him his son has died and we lost the case? And so he was just like, whatever. And but you would think that he was really bad at his job, but he was actually really, really good at his job. And ultimately, if you paid attention, what he said makes sense. Like the way he found out who the diesel actually was, and the way he found a way to tell his brother, to get the message to his brother, because he knew he was incapacitated. Like that was genius. I love women. Like the citrus tints were awesome. What did you think about Joey King's character? Did you
So
see the
I
twist? That's two questions in one.
yeah. um so Joey King's character, the Little Prince, right? I believe is
Hmm.
the character name. The Little Prince, I kind of refer back to Lemon, right? And how Lemon reacted. So when like she got everybody on her side with her white girl tears, right? And then
Oh, that was the line of the movie.
she bawling, she getting these tears out, she's being all emotional and anything like that. He was just like, oh, he was like, whoo, like I just can't focus because of your white girl tears. Like, and then she tried it again. He was just like, "Oh, you are really good. This must really work." It was just
Like, how do you do that? You do it on cue? Like, oh.
and I'm like, that is true because she got everybody on her side in the beginning because she pretended to be a innocent young white girl crying and blaming all the men for her problems. And I was just like, and I'm looking at her while she's crying, and I was just like, please stop. I was like, please stop. Like, so I'm cracking up every time he would say something like that to her. I'd be like, please don't kill him because he is the only one who is like not falling for the bullshit. Like he's not falling for the bullshit. Everybody else was gonna fall for it. He was like, "Nah, I'm good." Except for the father who knew who she was.
Yeah, like um see, I kind of figured it out a little bit earlier. It I was like, okay, I said she's got to be his, because the thing about it is I was like, you can only be that twisted, and especially when it seemed like he was her main target. I was like, oh, this bitch got daddy issues. Like, and so I was like, okay, White Death is her dad. And then when she spit, I'm like, what did he ever do to you? And so I was like, this is way too personal, you know. And so it's like, all right. But so I wasn't really quite surprised by that twist. But yeah, him and those white girl twists, he almost fell for it. And then when he looked in the bag and he saw the gun, he was like, oh, like he knew something wasn't quite right about her, but he was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. And then when he looked in the gun and he looked in the bag and he saw the gun, he was like, oh no, this bitch here. And he was like, I found my diesel.
Found your
So
diesel. The
but
guy
yeah,
was from the Sun. No, wait. Oh God, I forgot what his code name was.
God,
The
the
fool son, the one who son was pushed off by Lil Prince. I forgot what
oh
his code name was, but he is from Snake Eyes, right?
yeah, that's Andrew
Okay,
Joji. He's from Warrior too, one of my favorite actors. I love him and I
is
love the
he
show.
half Japanese?
I think so.
Okay,
Um, he's in that show Warrior I've been trying to get you to watch. And now that HBO Max has taken over, I hate to see the fate of Warrior because it's so good. And it was one of the shows that has survived the Cinemax merge. And I was like, oh gosh. But yeah. I love Andrew Joji. He's a great actor. Um, but yeah, you called him the fool son. Was he really a fool son, or did he just was he the one with the bad luck, or did he just have bad judgment? Like
he was a fool.
you agree with the father? He was just a fool.
Well, yeah, because look, what Lil Prince said to him, yeah, she may have been trying to, make him feel some type of way because she was using his son against him. But what she said is right when she called him out and said how easy it was to persuade your son to come to the roof. The fact that you were nowhere to be found. And I was able to get your son onto the roof and push him off of the roof because he was so kind-hearted is not because of you. That's in spite of you, because you never put him first. Which I'm like, I would love to see, like, how did you get to that point when your father was who he was?
Yeah.
Like, how, like, is it partly because you saw your mom die, or because seeing who his father was, I'm just like, how did you turn out this way? Like, you had the skill, but you weren't that great.
Maybe it's a sense of entitlement. Maybe it was because he felt like he was always a disappointment. But I'm with you. I do agree with the fact that it was like, dude, it took you 3 hours to realize that your son was gone.
Yeah.
And to realize that she played with you for 3 hours. And then when you finally realized he was gone, that's when she pushed him off the roof.
And I think that was a plot. I think that was a plot hole for the story, right? Kind of like his character. I think that was a little bit of a plot hole for the whole entire like storyline on his real purpose in the story. Like, I get what she wanted him to end up doing, but I didn't even really see that actually, following through in the end. Like, I felt like there were plot holes when it came to his character and how he played a role ultimately in killing the White Death. Like, I heard her when she was actually explaining it, but it was still very skeptical on how it was going to happen. Like, how was he going to get so close to your father? Like, I just didn't see it. And maybe I didn't pay attention enough, but I thought his character was one of the plot holes. Like, you ultimately see the connection of his father and how his father played a role in the storyline. But I feel for him, besides because even then, when she pushed the son off of the roof, right? You mean to tell me you did all this research, but you didn't realize who grandson he belonged to?
I think. Go ahead.
No, I was just like she didn't like, I feel like she didn't realize who he was ultimately connected to. Like, I don't think she researched enough. Like, she just needed a fool. She needed a fool, and she chose him, and she may have known that his father was connected to the White Death, but maybe she didn't understand how powerful his father was, or who ultimately his father was, because it just seemed like a plot hole to me. I'm gonna just end there. It just seemed like a plot hole that didn't necessarily get filled even at the end.
I think she did, and I think it was twofold. And I get it, because I agree with you. I think they could have given his character more to do. Probably made him a little. I think it would have been more effective if he was a little bit stronger of a character. If he wasn't written as such a weak, and for lack of a better term, like you said, fool. I think she probably did realize whose son he was and the connections, but I think it was more of her plan B to start a war, to say, oh look, to try to drive that wedge, and those who were loyal to her father, to make it to kind of drive a divide in the organization, or a deeper wedge in the organization. That's what I'm thinking. Because up until that point, she had everything like really truly planned out. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. But I do agree with you that I love Andrew. I think it would have probably been more believable if he were a better character. Because I'm with you. It's like, okay, you're running errands for the White Death. You're making deliveries for the White Death. You're doing all this stuff. Your father is who he is, but you are who you are. Like, if you were that reluctant, and your father has no respect for you at all. So it's like, if you didn't want to be in a business, you could have been that rebellious son who went your own way, you know. So it was just like, yeah, I didn't really, yeah, I agree with that. I another part I really liked is the scene with the hornet. Um, the You know who I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
The snake venom person.
Yeah, I'm waiting
Disney.
for what scene are you talking about?
Oh,
I know the character. I'm talking about what scene.
oh, the one with her and Ladybug in the train where she finally comes and he finally realizes who she is and she's about to kill him. And she every time where she's like, "Yeah, bitch, no, bitch, I only got one bitch. Be prepared to die, bitch." And she was like, he's like, "But we can find a way out of this." And she's like, "But you've seen my face." And he's like, "But no, it's okay. I'm cool. Like, you go your way, I go my way." And then when they both get injected with the venom, and then he injects himself with the anti syrup or the anti venom, and he goes, "Tell me you only have one." He said, "You can't tell me you only have one. You always bring them back up." And he's like, "Is there something I can get you? Like some water? Like what can I do to help you get there?" And I'm like, "Dude, she's about to start bleeding out every part of her body." And you're just sitting there trying to be like, I was like, "Oh wow, poor ladybug." Like, yeah, it was. I liked her though. I like the Hornet. Like I said, it this movie did something that's really rare. It was a great action comedy that had great characters and it actually had a good story. Like we said, there were some plot holes, but it really did. Like it kept me in enthralled from beginning to end. And it didn't help that you got a Channing Tatum cameo. Is this the sex stuff
He was like,
now?
"Ooh, he do gotta walk."
He's like, "Is this the sex stuff now?"
Oh, he played that very well.
I was just
Very
like,
well.
oh wow, it was crazy. So, what did you think about the ending of it? Were you,
So I love the fact of like all we heard was Sandra Bullock's voice through the whole entire movie until the very end. Um, I am a huge fan of Sandra Bullock. She can play serious roles, but gosh darn it, when they give her like comedy or satire or like dry humor, she does it so well. Um,
she's like a Clooney, because Clooney is another one who does
yes,
that so well.
yes. So her and George Clooney, I will agree with you on that. They do that very, very well. Um, so it was great to see her at the end, and I was just like, oh, she showed up to like save him, but not really because the train had already been derailed. But but I thought the ending was like really good. Well, I thought the whole movie was good in, like you said, like it was action, there was comedy, it was outrageous in some parts, but the outrageousness like just worked. It just worked at every step. Like some of the things that were coming out of their mouth, I was just like, oh my God, that is so ridiculous. But I like in a normal, well, we're getting back to like, normality. But I just thought like it's a good movie that I would recommend people to go see just because you will not be disappointed. It's entertainment from beginning to end. Like it really kept you interested watching it. Like I didn't see a boring part. I mean, like, did you see any boring parts as kind of like, that really didn't need to be in there?
No, like it was one of my favorite. Like I remember reading about this in 2020, and it's a remake of a Japanese film based on the same thing. And I think there's also a book, Bullet Train. And so I was like, okay. And Antoine Fuqua was producing it and putting it together. And at first I was like, it seemed a little like okay. And I think there was some casting problems, like Brad Pitt and then some other people had dropped out, and of course it was the height of COVID. So I was like, how are they going to get this filmed, um, especially on location in Japan or what have you? But it turned out. So I kind of wanted to see it then from all the players involved, but I'm with you. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be, especially even considering who was involved with the movie. And I was entertained from beginning to end. I was wide awake when I went, so it wasn't one of those ones that just kind of woke me up. But it was something that it was like, oh, it's one of those where it's not a point where you want to get up and go to the bathroom. If you had to go to the bathroom, be like, I don't want to especially since if you're not in movies with someone you know who can tell you what happened. Um, but it was just like, wow, it wasn't a boring moment. Like everything, and I loved how they did the flashbacks, like how they filled in some of the not the plot holes that we were talking about, but how they told the story, like how they told the story about the White Death. I thought that was brilliant. Also, the way they showed the connection between Brad Pitt and the Citrus Twins. Like, what was it, Bolivia? Was it the Bolivia job?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love the way that they used those flashbacks. And it was really good. So it wasn't a boring moment in the movie. It was great, and the parts that weren't filled with action, like, and it wasn't mindless action. It all made sense. It was all driven by the plot and the story, and even the comedy. It wasn't forced because it all kind of went along with the whole idea of even the outrageousness of it all. It all kind of went along with like Ladybug's quote unquote bad luck. Like when they were out there, when White Death, he had his men stop. It wasn't Kyoto, but I think it was the second to last stop before Kyoto, where he said, "You and your brother got to get off the train, and you got to have the case." They didn't want to see the kid because they'd already saw the kid, and so they wanted to see the case, and they wanted to see him and his brother. And he goes, and that was the time where he's like, "Do you know what's?" And they were like, "Have they ever seen Lemon?"
No, they just knew
And
they were twins.
they just knew they were twins, and he goes, "Oh, you two do really look alike, or there is a resemblance." And so when he was trying to show, when he was like, "Hey," with the case, and he just flips it, and all the underwear and the dildos come out, I'm like, "Oh shit!"
Just
So,
horrible. Trying to sell it, and he did worse.
and even when they went back in and had that conversation, he's like, "Well, I had them. I was just trying to sell it, and I had them." And then he's like, "I did too much," you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I love the cameo by Michael Shannon as White Death. Um, and even Ryan Reynolds as the agent whose place he was taken.
Sorry. To find out when he was just like, he's a horrible person, like basically saying like he's a douche, and then Ryan Reynolds shows up on screen, and I was just like, that matches. Like, not to say Ryan Reynolds is a douche, but like, whenever, have you ever noticed, right? When they talk about like a really horrible person, right? Like this, a dude that they just cannot stand. I feel like it's always Ryan Reynolds that is shown.
Yes, and it's perfect for like I think it was payback for Brad Pitt's ghost cameo in Deadpool 2.
No.
So I was just like, okay, like I said, there were some amazing cameos that were just kind of kept under wraps, and um, I loved it. I thought it was really good, and I liked the ending, and I love how things turned out for Lemon. I Were you surprised about that? Shocked the shit out of me because I just knew, I just knew we had seen the last of Women, so I was
I was a little
glad.
upset because I was just like, gosh darn it, please don't tell me they really killed the black dude.
Yeah,
Please
but
don't tell me the white brother is the one that survives. Like, that's what I kept saying. But I was
yeah,
also sad when
when
Tangerine got
Tangerine died.
killed, and then Lemon wakes up and he's just like, you killed my brother. And then him and Ladybug is arguing. But then what is that dude's name? The fool. I can't
Yeah,
remember what his name
we'll
was.
just go with that. The fool.
Yeah. Then the fool is like arguing with Lemon. Well, you shot me. You shot me. And he's just like, but he killed my brother. And it's like a whole big like trifecta. And the father just sitting there rolling his eyes like, what the fuck am I in? And like, but like, I like the fact that at the end, Lemon did wake up. And I was just like, the bulletproof vest. Because
No,
remember when Tangerine asked him, you got the vest? He was like, yeah, I just know I'm gonna be shot in the neck or something like that, with this vest on. And I completely forgot when they were talking about it.
yeah. And I love the fact that Tangerine did kind of save the day. I'm not gonna spoil that, but just how Tangerine literally saved the day at the end, or Tangerine did it as it were. Um, so All right, I guess we can wrap this up. What would you rate? So you already said you would recommend it. My next question: would you want to see a sequel of some sort?
There's no need for a sequel.
Okay. Um.
Yeah. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil. Like, don't. It was a great film. I really enjoyed it. Don't spoil it by trying to make another one just because it was a good film. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes one is enough.
and you know what? I'm going to agree with you on that. This is one of those ones where I think unless it is something just really, unless you have some outrageously great story to tell, there's no need to do another sequel, to do a sequel to this. So I agree with you on that, unless it's just a damn good story. Um, and it was one of the most successful movies of the summer, and that's
It
especially the late
was
it of the late summer, yeah, and that's
okay.
saying a lot considering Top Gun has run away with box office this whole year. But you know, so and this we are in the this is the year that you know we're finally that 2020 COVID is catching up with us. So from here, the box office is going to be slow. Maybe we should do an extra butter about fall movies. It wouldn't take very long, but you know, we'll see. Um, so okay, so we're in agreement. Sequel only if you can find that right thing, but not necessary. All right, how would you rate it?
So I am going to rate this a 4.25. I was very much entertained. What brings it down definitely is there were some plot holes within the film, but overall, I was entertained from beginning to end. I don't feel there was a boring moment. I loved all the cameos. I think they had great actors in the movie playing their roles. So, being that I was very much entertained, I'm going to give this a 4.25. What about you, Eddie?
Well, I am glad you enjoyed it so much because when I put on the calendar, you're like, okay, I guess. I know. And I was like, but and I guess it also makes up for you for Model Family being too slow for you,
Not too
too
slow. Just horrible. Just horrible. Let's
too
acknowledge
dramatic.
it was
Um,
just horrible.
but so hey, I made up for Model Family.
Yes.
Um, I am going to give it a four. I really really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. I've already recommended it. It is definitely going into the collection when it comes available on video on demand or when it comes available to purchase. I am adding it to the collection. It is one. I think it's probably going to rank up there as one of my rainy day movies. Like, you know how I have Bad Boys memorized. By the time it's all said and done, I think Bullet Train is going to be one of those movies that I just kind of go back to just to laugh at and just to enjoy. Um, so it ranks up. I'm putting it up there. I'm putting it in there with the Bad Boys. You know, it's joining the Bad Boys and Jason Statham collection.
That's a stamp of approval right there, y'all.
Yeah, because you know how I feel about that Jason Statham slander. Woo. All right. Well, you got anything else for us? Is that it? Any other notes on the
I feel
movie?
like I'm forgetting somebody, but no. We
I
good.
know. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody too. Like we talked about Bad Bunny and the Wolf, Sandra Bullock, Joey King, Andrew Joshi. Like it's a well stocked cast. It's
It
really
really
really good.
is. Like, one more time. Last time, if you haven't, go see Bullet Train. Like, you will not be disappointed. It was definitely entertainment. It brings back like what movies should be and can be
Yes, like it
with a
does
good
the
story. Like,
yes, it does the action comedy thing very well. Where a lot of movies have failed lately in that genre, this one pulls it off really, really well. And it's perfectly cast. And not that I'm plugging or work for AMC, but I know how expensive movies can be. So AMC has this thing where they do like $3 movies on the weekend. I don't know if it's just the first movie or whatever, but you know, check it out. You can. There's no rule that says you have to go on a Saturday night and pay $20 per person versus $3 in the morning on a matinee. So hey, that's my plug. AMC, I need my money. That does it for this week's episode of Popcorn Wind Down. Please be sure to listen, like, follow, comment, and subscribe anywhere where you can stream your favorite podcast. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment, pop culture news, and other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at the popcornwinedown.com. That's it. That's the plug. Poppity pop, pop, pop,
Pop, pop, pop.
pop. Thank you. And as always, be sure to join us next week when we discuss Netflix's latest series, The Partner Track, starring Arden Show. Have you started it?
Eddie, did you not see my text message?
I did, but I was wondering if your opinion has changed. It's gonna be an interesting conversation. We will save it for next week. I am
Yes.
really interested to see what you think about it. I have started it as well, so we will save that conversation until then. So until next time, pop stars, take care. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.